by Alec. Back for another mock draft. Alec, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Cannot complain. Cannot complain at all. I'm ready to mock draft. This is obviously the first mock draft post NFL Combine, so this is a huge one, right? There's also been some, the franchise tag deadline is done now. It's getting into we're solidifying team needs a little bit more. Obviously, we saw free agency opening up next week, so that's going to be a huge date as well. But starting today, we're going to go ahead and hop in this draft. Just one rounder again. Although I do think in the future I would love to get into some 2, maybe 3 round mock drafts to really start to break down the guys in the later rounds that could be studs, because every year you get those guys. But I will give you the first overall pick. I'll give you the odds. We do have trades today if you want them, but knock yourself out, Alec, with this first overall pick.
Yeah, it's going to be Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Justin Fields will be gone. I don't know what it will be for. A lot of the big losers at the combine. I don't mean like people being losers, but I'm saying like people who lost the combine. A lot of people said the Bears, just because Justin Fields. Everybody was basically trashing Justin Fields collectively in his trade value. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for a 3 or a 4.
Yeah. I'm curious to see where he goes, because there's a lot of rumors to Pittsburgh, and then that kind of fell off. A lot of rumors to Atlanta, and now Atlanta's rumored to get, they're interested in Baker now as well. I'm interested to see where that goes.
I think it'll really depend on how next Monday goes when the legal tampering starts. Where does Kirk Cousins go?
Yeah.
Kind of where does Baker go if he resigns? And then there's a couple other dominoes. Where does Russell Wilson go?
Mm-hmm. Those are really the 4 right there. Yeah. Is Fields. Fields obviously is not a free agent, but Mayfield, Cousins, and Russell Wilson now, because of getting cut, which, as crazy as it is with the Broncos taking all of that dead cap, I think it's the most dead cap from
ever.
It's number 1, and number 2 and 3 combined
mm-hmm.
isn't even as much as Russell.
They just didn't want to pay him the cash. They saved a lot of cash. So
yeah, it was 86 mil dead cap.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. Okay, I'm gonna stay at 2 here. No trades here. It's gonna be either Drake May or it's going to be Jayden Daniels. I'm gonna go with Drake May here. Overall I have him ranked a little bit higher than Jayden Daniels. I just think he can throw the ball a little bit better. I feel like his upside's a little bit higher. That Josh Allen comp for him, but that's just what I'm sticking with here.
Yep. All right, number 3. I love Drake May there. I think Drake May would have gone number 1 last year. I think he's kind of being overlooked.
Yeah.
Just with his draft having Caleb Williams. Okay, so I'm gonna do my first trade here. I was thinking about this all day today.
Okay.
So in the Antonio Pierce at Arizona State connection with Jayden Daniels there. Jayden Daniels thanked Antonio Pierce for all he did for him in his combine interview. I think that does mean something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have the Raiders trade up to 3. I don't know if the Patriots would pull the trigger. I think it'd be hard to pass up Marvin Harrison on the board. I think the Raiders would have to give a lot, but I think they would to be able to draft Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, realistically, you're looking at least another 2026 first. PFF does not let you do this. I'm just going to force this through, but you're looking at a 2026 first, probably a couple other, maybe 2 seconds in there as well. But okay, cool. You are now on the clock with the Las Vegas Raiders, and Jayden Daniels is the selection.
Jayden Daniels. No, Spencer Rattler. No, I'm kidding. Jayden Daniels, yes.
You don't want Jordan Travis there?
Sneaky undrafted free agent.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep this one simple here too. No trades here from me, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the selection there.
That's a no-brainer. We don't even need to talk about it. It's just
we don't. It's.
If
assuming, I think the Cardinals really, it's a lock. If they're there at 4, I think you're taking Marv unless something just crazy is offered to you. Yeah. And if you're not trading the pick, I think this ballot is filled out, and the second that they read a name at 3 that's not Marvin Harrison Jr., you're walking the ballot up there.
And I even think if Marv goes at 3, they take Neighbors at 4. I don't think Neighbors is that far behind.
I wouldn't be surprised if Marv goes at 3, if they traded back to like 6 or 7. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee said, you know what, screw it, we're going up to 4.
Mhm.
And we're gonna, even though I
Take
mean,
two
I
of
guess they did, yeah. I mean, they did take Levis last year, but I don't think Levis is really a
yeah.
long term solution. But yeah, no, this is an easy pick with Marvin. So you're on the clock now. You're here at 5 with the
Yeah,
Chargers. What are
so
you going
this
with here?
is this has been this is the best case scenario for fantasy owners. Neighbors at 5.
Mhm.
Um, I really think he doesn't fall past 6 or 7. I really don't
Right.
think there's any chance of that happening. But I know that the Chargers picked Quentin Johnson last year, but he's not looking too good. Keenan Allen, it might be a cap casualty. Mike Williams will be a cap casualty. I don't know if I don't think they've cut him yet, have they?
Not yet, but I would
Okay, I
expect
don't
it.
think so. But he definitely, yeah, it's expected. So I think they go Malik Neighbors.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I would agree. I mean, Neighbors is this draft is so just offensive talent heavy. And I'm going to stay offensive here. I thought about trading this year. I'm not going to lie. I thought about going, having the Broncos trade up to 6 to take JJ McCarthy. And I want to explain that really briefly here because I know I texted you about it the other day.
Mhm.
And I don't think McCarthy should be taken 6th overall, but I would not be surprised at all if he's drafted in the top 5 even. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers, I know we've talked about the Chargers a little bit with their the Chargers there at 5 when the cap space issues, right? So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they move down, and if they're looking to move down, I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos are the team moving up and taking JJ McCarthy. He came in, he didn't run the 40. I think it's because he came in weighing 220 pounds. Everybody expected him to be around like 200, 205. But I think showing that you have an NFL body is more important than running a fast 40. Um, if you're a little bit slower, but you're going to be healthy, people are cool with that. Like, so I thought about doing that here. I'm not going to. I'm going to take Joe Alt. I want to just briefly run run you through this here. Like Joe Alt is 6'9",
Yeah.
6'9", and look at this 173 10-yard split as a 6'9",
Look at the 40.
320. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. A 9'4" broad jump. I mean, like this dude is just a freak athlete. Standing at 6'9". I mean, he can play left tackle, he can play right tackle. Whatever he does, he's going to be he's a generational talent. I think that the Giants are thrilled here because this solves an immediate issue at tackle. So I think this is a pretty good pick here for the Giants.
Yeah, they have Andrew Thomas. He's been elite. Took him a while to get going, but he's been really good.
Yeah,
Um,
Evan
Evan
Neal
Neal,
not so
yeah,
much.
Evan Neal we talked about, really high draft pick. He's been not very good.
Right.
So I think Joe Alt would be great there.
Mhm.
Kind of kick the quarterback thing down the road. You already signed Daniel Jones. Can't really get out of it. Run it back one more time. Maybe you
Yep.
strike 2022 again. Maybe you don't. Just see what happens one more year.
I do think an interesting thing too is that Saquon Barkley set to hit free agency, right? So this Giants offense in the last 3 years, I mean, Barkley's really been the only bright spot for them. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm curious to see what you do here. Do you say like we're a believer in? There's several ways they could go. They could say we're not a believer in Daniel Jones. We're going to trade up and take a quarterback, or we're not going to trade up. We're going to take JJ McCarthy, but we're going to go quarterback, or we're a believer in Daniel Jones, but he needs weapons. We're going to take a receiver here. We're going to take Odunze, or we're going to take Bowers, right? And try to figure out a way to move Darren Waller around for another offensive piece, right? Or but then there's also this one, which is just saying, look, we're going to protect Daniel Jones. If it's not Daniel Jones, we're going to be bad again this year, but at least we have a stud of an offensive tackle. We'll have a high pick next year. We can take Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers or whoever you want next year. But I think offensive tackle is the safest pick for the Giants here.
Yep. Okay, so I think the Titans really want to take, a safer prospect, I would say. And this is tough because there are some really good tackles in this class, and their O-line is not very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from a different perspective here. And this might be a little different. I'm going to have them take Brock Bowers here.
Okay.
I think they need players that will be good. They don't have a ton of bona fide, just good players. They're kind of rebuilding from the ground up. They're losing Derrick Henry.
Mhm.
So I think they should maybe try to revamp the offense. They take the best player on the board, and that would be Brock Bowers.
Yeah, there's no question whether he's whether he's the best player on the board or not. And if you let him get down here to, I think 12 was when I was going to kind of pull the trigger, maybe 14. I was going to trade up with Miami and have Miami select him, because I think Miami, if he falls to that 10 to 13 range, I think the Dolphins are going to be a huge player in that. In there, like this is a team that has a defense that, you're letting Christian Wilkins walk, obviously. That's going to hurt you a little bit, but maybe you want, Byron Murphy's your guy here, but this is an offensive team right there. I mean, that team is built to outscore teams. I mean, we saw the way that McDaniels had, managed that team last year. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're a candidate to trade up for Bowers, but Tennessee, this is an extremely safe pick for them. To me, with Atlanta at 8, this is somebody that had a spectacular combine, and it's Dallas Turner. We had him as our best defensive player on the board before the combine. It's absolutely, he's still the best defensive player on the board. We have his combine results right here as it's loading, but he's just a freak athlete. I mean, you're looking at this, he's 6'3", 247. Very solid size. He's got the 34-inch arms, which is huge. 34-inch arms is what they want for offensive tackles. You have an edge rusher with that. Obviously, that helps a ton. And this is where it just gets crazy down here. You're 4.46, 40-yard with a 1.54.
40.5-inch vert.
Yes, this entire section right here is just spectacular. Typically, you're looking for less than a 1.6 for a 10-yard split in edge rushers. That's kind of like that tier, in time. I guess I can pull that up here too, of, the guys that have done that in history or in the past as edge rushers have been, let's see here, all. So, I mean, in these guys, you have Montez Sweat, Cliff Averill, where are you at here? Nick Bosa's in here, Chase Winovich is in there, Josh. I mean, you have some guys in here that have been in that sub 1.6, Brian Burns, Josh Allen, Daniel Hunter. So this is a pretty good, kind of way to see or way to show that, this is a good, this dude's going to be a stud. And obviously there's other things you have to look at, but I think Dallas Turner is going to be the best edge rusher on the board, or best defensive player on the board. I think this is an easy pick for the Falcons here.
Yeah, I love that. So I think Dallas. I think Dallas Turner could be really, really good. I think that he is maybe 5 to 10% worse than what Will Anderson was as a prospect.
Yeah.
But Will Anderson was unbelievable this year. And really impactful. I think that Dallas Turner is the perfect edge linebacker, kind of that hybrid guy that just rushes the passer.
Yeah, he could play outside linebacker in a 3-4. You really don't want him dropping into coverage, but he could play in a 3-4. He's going to be a great outside linebacker. In a 4-3, he's going to be a great defensive end. His versatility, kind of passing rusher rushing the passer rather, is very good, and I think he's going to be a stud. But over to you here at 9. Caleb Williams has been selected for the Bears. Who are you going with here?
See, this is tough for me. I want to go Rome. I'm going to go Rome here. It's the basic pick here, but they do need weapons. So
yes,
I think it's the pick that makes the most sense.
Yeah. I would agree. This is we did it last time too. We paired together Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. That's kind of that star young receiver, star young quarterback that you get there. 10, I'm going to keep this really simple. It's Taliese Fuaga. This is every single mock draft I do. I understand that Fashanu is still on the board here. I think Olu Fashanu is probably going to be better, but man, do the Jets just love Fuaga, and he's a great run blocker. I think, having Breece Hall in that backfield, I think that's going to be positive for them. I think that's probably where they go here, but Fashanu, I think, is on my overall list is better. But I think the fit with Fuaga to the Jets is just a little bit better here.
I love it.
Over to you at 11 now.
Okay, 11. See, this is where we start getting into the JJ McCarthy era.
Yep.
I think he will go earlier than this, like we talked about.
Right.
So I'm going to go him here. I'm going to guess that Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta, and I'm going to go JJ McCarthy here at 11.
Okay. I was going to take him at 12 if you didn't take him. So now I'm on the board here. There's a couple different ways I could go. I do want to mention something really quickly with quarterbacks. Michael Penix Jr., him and Latu, two guys that had huge medical stuff at the combine. That was the important thing, right? Is like the athletic testing matters. The more important part that you just don't see is the medical testing and is like the team interviews. Like that's the important parts that teams really care more about. Yes, they care about athletic testing, but like care significantly more about Penix Jr. passed everything with flying colors. So I would not be surprised at all if he, especially when you get down here in this range, obviously you have like Mahomes, Purdy, Jackson, Goff, Josh Allen. These teams don't need quarterbacks, but to see somebody trade up to get that fifth-year option on somebody like Penix, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Or Bo Nix, but I think Penix, I just want to comment on the medical stuff. But speaking of medical stuff, here at 12, I do still have Latu there. I'm going to go with him here. It's a little bit earlier than typical, but realistically, I think that if, so he passed everything in flying colors. I think he could be the best pass rusher in the draft, in this class. Dallas Turner, obviously, on paper looks really good right now, is going to be a stud. But Latu is so skilled. He's able to, the secondary moves that he's able to apply, like watching some film on him, it's a first spin move, or, it's a first swim move, next thing you know, spin move, because that one didn't work. And then he's to the quarterback. It's the secondary, like the second, third, fourth moves that he's able to do in a pass rush. He is really, really skilled. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's a stud. So I'm going to go with him here at 12 to the Broncos.
Yeah, and I'm going to back this up with another edge rusher. I'm going to go Jared Verse here.
Okay.
I know he's a little older, but he did test pretty well, and his production was good. So, and he also was 23 years old as a senior, so that's, maybe a little bit of a red flag. But every mock I've seen, he's either from 9 to 19, somewhere in there. I think that's a good range for him.
Yeah.
I think it's he's just a physical freak, so I like him there to the Patriots.
Yeah, I do too. And given that that's just happened, I'm going to take Olu Fashanu here at 14.
That's a steal at 14.
Absolutely, it is. Like, there's this draft is really tackle heavy, and I would not be surprised at all if the Saints go tackle at 14. Obviously, I'm taking one here, but I think if their mind is dead set on taking a tackle at 14 and Fashanu ends up to them, they're going to be stoked. I think if you're assuming you're taking a tackle, you're looking at maybe Fuaga, right? But probably like Fautanu, probably that Amarius Mims, J.C. Latham right in there maybe. Those are the guys you're probably thinking are going to be available to you. Getting Fashanu here at 14 is crazy value. I think this is the Saints would be stoked here.
Yep. Oh, this the great part about this draft is that there's so much talent at the top. But the weird part about this draft that we haven't had the last couple years, we had it with the Mac Jones draft. There's going to be 4 quarterbacks taken probably in the top 10 picks. So a lot of good players are going to get pushed down, which is great for those kind of like playoff fighting teams, kind of like, like we're seeing right here. Like some of these teams are going to get really good players.
Well, and it's what we saw in that draft too, because we saw like Jamar Chase at 5, Penei Sewell at 7. That's giving me like Malik Neighbors and Joe Alt vibes. You know what I mean? Of getting an all-pro receiver, an all-pro tackle outside of, at 5 or later, because of just the overall just dominance of quarterbacks at the, on that front end. And then also just like the defensive players later, right? Micah Parsons at 12 in that draft. Wow, there's Pat Surtain, the second at 9 in that draft. Could that be a Dallas Turner in this one, or is that a Terrion Arnold in this one? So, the offensive talent is crazy in this draft.
Yeah, this is easy for me. I'm gonna go Quinyon Mitchell here.
Okay.
I think he's gonna be really good. I think he's really athletic. He's long. He can cover. I think he's gonna be really good.
He tested really well as well.
He made a lot of money.
Yes, he certainly did make a lot of money. I'm pulling up his 40-yard time here, but I mean, 6', 195 is very solid. Long arms. I think might have been longer arms than Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins came in a lot lighter, a lot shorter, and a lot shorter arms than what people thought. Obviously, Nate Wiggins ran the 4.28. But the 4.33 here with Mitchell is great. 38-inch vertical jump. He can be he can be physical with anybody. He's gonna break up a lot of passes. I love this pick from you. He's gonna be a stud.
Yeah, I think in a lot of drafts he goes earlier. I think he could go earlier in this.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just it's with the offensive talent, it's hard to force him up.
Mhm.
We're gonna go ahead and exit that. There we go. So I'm on the board here at 16 with the Seahawks. There's a couple different ways you could go. There's still some edge rushers that maybe you would want to take a risk on. I don't think so. I don't think like Chop Robinson moves up this high. I could see him late first round, but I don't think he comes up this high. I like Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that's where I'm going to go here. It solves the immediate issue. I don't think that you would go elsewhere. Like the center you're not solving in free agency, realistically. And I do want to quickly touch on the Eagles here at 22. The Eagles will not take a center. You got Cam Jurgens 2 years ago from Nebraska with a second round pick. That's your center. Kelsey's retiring. You're not going to go draft a center. So, but I think JPJ here to the Seahawks, you're solving an immediate need. Like we said last time, it's the Geno Smith who will give you one last run at it. If for some reason, McCarthy is still here, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and take him because just of the value, right? You're getting somebody that could have maybe been a top 5 pick at 16, but I think they go JPJ here.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Okay,
over to you at 17 now.
Okay. So this is also an interesting spot because there's a lot
of corners left on the board.
A lot of corners and a lot of 3 good tackles on the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really, I know I was kind of low on Nate Wiggins in our last mock.
Yeah.
He was blazing. I really think he made himself a lot of money. And I know we talked about last time about how, maybe Nate Wiggins isn't the best corner, but we probably thought he was going to test pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see the Jags falling in love with Nate Wiggins after that 40.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Nate Wiggins here.
Yeah. Okay. My first thought on Nate Wiggins is that coming into the draft, kind of the big thing on him was that everybody loved how long he was, right? He's really not that long, and he's coming in really, really light. He's 6'1", 173.
Yep.
And that is light, like really light at 173. And he struggled to tackle at Clemson. I'm curious to see if the tackle struggles continue, but I do agree with you. I think just the fact that he ran a 4.28 alone is going to boost him up some people's draft boards.
Yep.
But my concern with Nate Wiggins is, can you tackle? Because at 173 pounds and you already struggle with it in the ACC. It's not even like you were playing in the SEC, a more physical brand of football. Playing in the ACC, already struggling to tackle. Coming to the NFL, you're really going to struggle to tackle. I hope he gets he's able to put on some weight, but I agree with you. I think that he's going to be a first round for sure. It just depends on who values that speed a little bit more. Bengals here at 18. I know we talked about it. There's some good tackles on the board, maybe more than you would expect, but I'm going to take Amarius Mims. You have Orlando Brown Jr., who's just a physical beast. I'd say pair him up with just another one in Amarius Mims. This dude is a freak. I'm going to pull up his combine profile just because putting this in words is like you can't. you can't like put into words how freakishly like that you shouldn't be able to do this stuff, what he's doing. But I don't know. As a Bengals fan, how would you feel about this?
Yeah, I'd love this. I think in this scenario, if JC Latham's there, I'd rather see JC
Mhm.
Latham to the Bengals.
Yeah,
Um, but the problem with JC Latham is he wants to play left tackle,
yeah,
and a lot of teams already have their left tackle. So there you kind of have to have the right fit for him. But yeah, I think
right.
Amarius Mims is, you know, I didn't realize the other day. I sent you a tweet that I saw of like him against like like next to average people. I
Yeah,
mean, the dude looks like literally like a giant.
he looks like as if like you put Thanos at the NFL Combine is what it looks like. Like, I mean, 6'8", 340 is crazy, and he ran a 507.
Yeah,
Like, and like 34 inches is what people want for, is typically the measurement for arms. That's, what teams look for.
30.
36 and an eighth. That's crazy. His hands are on you early. And I think like the common misconception about Marius Mims too is that like, oh, he's a physical beast, but he's going to be a project tackle. He was great at Georgia. Like he's not a project tackle. It's going to take like a year or two to develop. I think year one, he's going to be a stud. But yeah, I think you guys would be happy. I was debating between Latham because typically he's not on the boards here when we do these.
Yep.
But he was here, but I'm still going with Mims here. I just like the fit here a lot.
Yeah, I like that fit too.
Over to you at 19. Where are you going here?
Yeah, so there's a lot of good players left on the board.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, so I'm going to go JC Latham here.
Okay.
I just and they need O linemen still. Just to if you can protect Stafford, I mean, they made the playoffs and almost beat a team that was one of the hottest teams in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
So if Stafford's healthy, and he's upright, they can really beat anybody.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think if Latham Mims, I think I think that's the end of that first five. Fautanu is that sixth one that you could end up with. He's a good pass blocker. But I think that first five is kind of where I would draw my line. Certainly after Fautanu in that first six. But I think if any of those first five are still there at 20, or at 19 rather, they're stoked. I think the Rams are stoked. Here at 20, I'm going to go DB here, and I'm going to go Terrion Arnold. Cooper DeJean, I know we talked about it last time. We had him going here, but we had Terrion Arnold going earlier. Terrion Arnold could end up being the first corner here in the draft. Or the best corner in the draft. He's a little bit slow. I believe he ran a 4.51. I can double check that, but I believe he ran a 4.51, which is a little bit slow. But watching everything else in the drills, his footwork is spectacular. He's got the oily hips that everybody wants, right? He's got oily hips. He looks like he's going to be a stud. I think the Steelers are pretty okay with getting Terrion Arnold here at 20.
Yeah, no, I think Terrion Arnold is a very good corner. He ran what, a 4.51, right?
Terrion Arnold 4.50.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. It's not blazing, but also some people don't need 4.3 speed.
Well, the other thing too is that they showed like when so obviously we talked about Quinton Mitchell. He ran a 4.33. They showed the side by side of them, doing like where you're backpedaling, you're flipping your hips, right? And Arnold was ahead of him there. So yes, the top speed you might not have that there, but your explosiveness is there. Your agility there is there. Your ability to read the game is certainly there. At Bama, we saw that. So I don't think there's not much of an issue being a 4.51. How many times are you actually going to need to reach that top speed and be in man coverage when you're running step for step with a receiver? Realistically, if you're doing that, you should have had safety help over top. Like or you shouldn't have been. I mean, you got burnt in your route if you are have to do that. So I think that's a fine pick there at 20. Over to you at 21. I'm interested to see where you go here because Christian Wilkins is not there anymore.
Yep. You stole my thunder. Damn it. So Dolphins aren't tagging Christian Wilkins.
Right.
He's going to get a bag from somebody. Don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be from somebody. So I think the Dolphins here, if this is the board, they go Byron Murphy.
Yep.
They need somebody in the middle. They just need a presence there. I know some of their depth guys are pretty good. Some of their rotation guys are pretty good, but Are they good enough to anchor an NFL D line by themselves? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think we've had Byron Murphy, going early in some drafts too. I mean, like 11, 12 range, and I don't think that's crazy. So I think he could fall all the way to here. I think if it hits 21, he's not going any farther because if it hits 21, the Dolphins are like, yep, this is the easiest pick of our lifetime here. So I love that pick there. Coming to me here at 22. There's a lot of there's some ways I could go here. Cooper DeJean's obviously there. PFF loves him. They've got him ranked high. If you ever do a mock draft on PFF, dude, with like just selecting, like I'll do some as a Lions fan, just choosing the Lions for like 6 rounds or whatever, 7 rounds, the entire draft, and uh, it'll have Cooper DeJean going like 4th overall. And there was one time where I did it, and at 29, Jaden Daniels was available for the Lions, and I'm like, okay, like, but DeJean's here. Obviously, we still have Khalid McKinstry, who's down here. Khalid McKinstry, his 40 time is going to be crucial because he could be even slower than Terrion Arnold, I think. And so if teams value that, he's going to fall. But realistically, I'm going to go Khalid McKinstry here. He gives me a little bit of vibes like Pat Surtain II of somebody that was just so good in college. In coverage, he just didn't really get tested, and that's almost like hurt him, right? Like because he's just blanketed coverage, it's like, oh, he didn't produce interceptions because he didn't get thrown to, like, and so maybe you're concerned about his freakish athleticism, but he didn't need to use that at all because he was just so good in coverage. So I think the Eagles take a secondary here because their secondary was atrocious this past year, though.
Yeah, no, it was really bad. I think any corner they pick has a chance to be really good, just because they'll get playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Texans. So if I'm the Texans right here, and if I'm the Texans at 23 and Brian Thomas Jr. is on the board, I'm running to the podium and I'm putting his name in.
Yep.
That offense if they could somehow bring Dalton Schultz back, they're gonna have a lot of cap. They'd have, they'd have Nico Collins, who broke out. They'd have Tank Dell, and they'd have Brian Thomas Jr. with CJ Stroud. I don't really care what they do at running back. Say they go, Saquon, they front loaded to your deal or something like that. They have a big potential to make this offense really good. And it was already really good, but even better really fast.
Right. And they have the cap space to do it, like you said. Like it's scary. Scary times in the AFC South, which was, a really, really just crummy division for so long. The last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And now you could have the Texans emerging as like Super Bowl, year in, year out Super Bowl candidate because of this rebuild that they've done. So, no, I love that pick there as well. 24 here. There's just a lot of needs here for the Cowboys. I think Johnny Jerzon Newton is not a bad option. I think that's probably who I'm going to end up going with. I take that back. I'm going to go Faltano. Really good pass blocker, but obviously letting Tyron Smith walk. Mm-hmm. I think this is kind of what they need a tackle here. You could go DeJean because kind of to cement your secondary, but realistically, you have Diggs, you have Mr. Pick Six guy that I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
DaRon Bland.
Yes, DaRon Bland. You have Bland, you have Diggs. You have 2 decent DBs that are going to jump plenty of routes, give up touchdowns, but they're going to score some. And I think Johnny Jerzon Newton's not a bad option here, but I think Faltano is probably the way they go.
Yes. No, I like that pick for sure there. Okay. I'm going Newton here.
Okay.
I think it just, combined with could be the best player on their board, also combined with they do have an interior D-line need. Mm-hmm. Don't know how much Cooper DeJean would play there. He was definitely in play here, but I think if I know you, maybe he'd be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer in this scenario.
Yeah, he is. Okay. As I thought about having my Lions trade up to get him, I'm not gonna lie, because I think
it would.
That's not crazy at all to think. But I have something cooked up for my Lions. I'm gonna have them actually trading back here in a second. I'm not even picking for my Lions. You are. But Cooper DeJean's whoever he goes, people are gonna love him. He's a freak athlete. He's gonna work his ass off. He can do just about everything on the defensive side of things. He's a great punt returner. He's somebody that's gonna make plays no matter what. Like he's a safe pick, especially at this value. He's going to make enough plays that drafting him at 26 is not going to be too much of a bust. So I think probably a safe pick. Looking at the other guys on this board here, if you wanted to go receiver, which I know you just signed Mike Evans, but if you want to go receiver, some of these guys could be busts. If Baker Mayfield walks, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they go after a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix here. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go Cooper DeJean here though.
Yeah, so I'm gonna blow your freaking doors off right here.
Oh boy.
So just go filter by receiver real quick.
You're gonna take
I'm
Xavier Worthy.
I'm gonna take Xavier Worthy here.
Yeah.
I don't think that's crazy that he's 69th rated, by the way. I don't think, and I know his PFF grade wasn't very good last year. That's why he's low, but
yeah,
there's no way that like John Ross when he got drafted by the Bengals. He had a good season, but it wasn't unbelievable. But he just ran a 4.22. There's no way that Xavier Worthy is not drafted in the first round.
I think it's very hard to see him slip out. The thing that I'm concerned about with him is that he weighs 165 pounds.
Oh, I'm very concerned. But yeah,
I weigh 165 pounds. I can't. I mean, I've never played football, but I can't imagine getting hit by NFL guys at 165 pounds. That's my concern. Is that honestly, I don't mind him being in the first round. I think that's this is again one of those where it's like, at least to me, I don't like to pick at all, but I think it happens. Like
I think that's where it's this kind of reminds me of the JJ McCarthy pick. It's like I'm not saying I would do it, but you're telling me that we saw Tank Dell last year weigh 165 pounds, ball out, and he ran a 4.5, in mid 4.5s. I'm not saying that 40 time really matters. I mean, there are good players that run slow 40s. Antonio Brown is one of the best receivers in NFL history, and he ran a really slow 40. It doesn't mean everything, but running a faster 40 does give you a better chance.
Yes, I'm almost curious too, is if that John Ross bust almost like makes people less likely to take Xavier Worthy here too. You know what I mean? Like that. Yes, you had a solid season. You were a decent, NFL or college receiver, but you were primarily speed focused. You're going to be playing against faster guys, and that's pretty much all you have. Not that Xavier Worthy is an okay route runner, but if you're looking for a route runner as a receiver here, you are not taking Xavier Worthy. But again, yeah, like you said, this reminds me a lot of the JJ McCarthy of. I don't like the pick. This is not something I would do, but I do think it happens. A pick that I do love, and this is every single time we do this, is Adonai Mitchell to the Bills. I debated going Keon Coleman here to the Bills because Keon Coleman had a spectacular combine. People were commenting about his slow 40 because I believe he ran a 4.47. But kind of just to put this in perspective, the 10-yard split, which for a receiver is like definitely more, especially when you are his size, is way more, is just way more impactful than what the 40 is. He was very solid on the 40 or on that. Adonai Mitchell though ran a 4.34 40.
Yeah,
and he is huge. He's 6'4", I believe. He's a stud. Adonai Mitchell is. He's going to be a stud. I'm trying to find right now. Keon Coleman ran a 1.54 10-yard split. Xavier Worthy was 1.49. So I don't you're giving me that difference for a guy that's just a freak athlete, and I mean freak athlete. I mean he's 6'4", I believe, or 6'3", 215 with a 38-inch vertical jump. Like this dude is going to win so many jump balls. I think this just fits the Keon Coleman would fit the Josh Allen, but I think Adonai Mitchell also fits Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, I think he fits Josh Allen really well. I think Keon Coleman would too. I think I think that's what happens when you have a good QB. A lot of receivers would fit the QB well. If that
Yes,
makes sense.
yes, but I think that
Even
jump.
Troy Franklin would. I just think a lot of
Yeah,
if you're a good QB, you tend, to be able to work with really anybody.
yeah, but I think that jump ball receiver really fits Allen's play style too.
Yes.
Of just the gunslinger. I'm gonna throw honestly stupid passes, but when you have somebody that's really good at coming down with stupid passes, it helps so much. So
All right. So here I'm gonna give you a boost. I'm gonna go Chop Robinson here.
okay,
I think you guys need another edge rusher,
yep,
opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And running a fast 40, having a high vertical, having a good 3 cone doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good edge rusher, but it gives you a better chance
right,
statistically. So I think Chop Robinson had way too good of a combine to not, maybe he doesn't go at pick 29. Maybe he goes at pick 34, but instead of him potentially, if he had a bad combine, going at pick 60. I
yes,
think
yes.
he's definitely, before pick 35 off the board.
Yeah. His coming into the combine we talked about last week, right? We knew he was going to test well. We knew he was going to. And he took what we thought and kind of just blew it away again. So he's an absolute stud. Right here we have Xavier Worthy to the Cards. We have 2 of him on the roster, Moore and Dortch. Yeah, it's a double receiver draft here, but I think also what it is you realistically, Hollywood Brown is not on contract. Moore and Dortch was okay last year. I don't know if that's you have Kyler Murray. I don't know if that's who you want to provide Kyler Murray with as your primary pass catchers. Rondell Moore and Dortch. You're going to have one of those guys on the field at all times. I think maybe Xavier Worthy is in play here. But at the same time, obviously it's a little bit of a risky pick and see what the Cardinals value. I don't know, Alec, thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I don't think realistically, I like my philosophy is like just pick the best player available that's on your board that you think will help you the best. I do understand 2 wideouts in the first round is not probably the most realistic option.
Right.
But in today's NFL, you can't have Rondell Moore and Greg Dortch be wide receiver 2 and 3.
Right.
You're going to get torched, no matter if you have Marvin Harrison Jr. or not.
Yeah. No, Donna, you did bring up Dana. You give a good point. They're both slot guys.
No, that's absolutely a fantastic point.
Yeah.
I think Rondell Moore could be a great 3. I think Greg Dortch could be a great 4. Just not a 2 and a 3.
Yeah, Michael Wilson is somebody that, especially later in the draft, someone's going to love him. He's 6'7", dude, 6'7". Like that is a freak athlete. That's somebody's going to catch a lot of balls. Had some drop issues at FSU, but realistically, I think you give and you get, right. And what you give is maybe a drop on a 10-yard out route, but what you get is a 40-yard catch over top of a defensive back. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility is going, Marv at 4 and then maybe saying we're going to
Michael Wilson's good too. Oh,
I was thinking Johnny Wilson.
Michael Wilson's good too from Stanford. Yeah, yes. I liked him last year. I have him in a couple of dynasty fantasy leagues.
Yeah. He had a couple of breakout games last year, dude. But Johnny Wilson is who I was thinking of. Johnny Wilson, I think is going to be a freak.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a 3rd or 4th rounder, I think. Maybe he slips into the 2nd. But again, you don't know how accurate PFF, and all these different drafting tools are. He could be an early 2nd rounder, but Johnny Wilson's going to be a stud somewhere. It's over to me at 30 with the Ravens. A couple of different things you could go here. You could go Rakestraw. He's definitely something that's in play. You also have, if you want to go defensive line, Fiske, and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Fiske. I know they just tagged Madubuike, but I think Fiske tested so well. He looked spectacular in the defensive line drills. You're all right, Dana. We love talking about it. Defensive line drills, he was just spectacular. He was He looked fluid in everything. He looked quick to everything. He looked like he was somebody that was like he was working his ass off in every single drill he was doing. He's really stood out to me. Obviously, ran a really solid, I think, a 4.68. And he's somebody that could play defensive tackle. He could play defensive end. If you're in a 4-3, if you're in a 3-4, he could play any of the three. If Madubuike goes down, he could play. He could play nose tackle. I mean, I think he could. His versatility is really what stands out to me here. Maybe a little bit of a reach. I think they probably would love Chop Robinson if he was there, but I think Fiske is a really good option here.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, I love that pick. I was going to go him in Detroit. I just chose Chop.
Okay, fair.
Okay, so I am going to do something a little out of the ordinary here. I've been thinking about this. I'm looking at my own board right now.
Yeah.
I am going to have the Saints trade up, and I'm going to have the Saints take Michael Penix Jr.
Okay. We will see. Okay, good. I was wondering if it would still let us trade with since we're only doing one round. But no, I like that. Where are they at? Saints. So realistically, you're gonna have to give up maybe. They says not interested. I don't know what the
maybe like pick 45. I think I think the Niners would do. The problem is they don't have a lot of ammo this year, but I think they might do a 2 this year and a 3 next year. I don't know. I think it would just depend. But yeah, I really like Michael Penix to the Saints.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. And I'm doing the exact same thing here with a trade. I think there's a couple teams that could really come in. I had to make sure that you didn't select any quarterbacks here earlier to teams that I was thinking. But I'm thinking with the Giants here is who I'm thinking. And Daniel Jones might be your guy. Yes, he could be, but he's been terrible. And so I don't think, probably the exact same thing. Maybe you give up, like 108 and a fourth, maybe it's something like that. But either way, I think they move up, and I think that they take Bo Nix here. You get the 5th-year option on him. Obviously, Daniel Jones has not really worked out. If he doesn't work out, Alec looks like Alec cut out there. But if Daniel Jones does not work out, then this is perfect. You can get Bo Nix, you get your 5th-year option on him, and this was basically how this would end here. I'm getting a text from Alec right now. His Wi-Fi just went out. That's all right. So we are this is the end of the mock draft here. We will be posting the results here on our Instagram, so make sure you guys go check out the Instagram at Sports Geeks Podcast over there. But this has been the Sports Geeks Podcast. They